Now we are all set, and so I'm going to mute this end, and then Chris, you just go ahead.
Yeah, I think you don't have to mute it in case that you have a comment to make or something. I don't mind. It's okay. You can manage that. As long as you can hear me well, I'm ready to go.
Yes, now, I will open the mic if anybody has a comment or question.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, all right. So I don't think that I should introduce myself. You can see a long last name in the very first slide. So you can call me Christos in case that you have some questions about what we call the conceptual foundations of this program. Right now, I'm aware of the fact that in minutes ago or an hour before your break, you have been going through, and I'm referring to the students now, you have gone through the case study. So you got an idea about the setting in which you are asked to develop something. Now, the purpose of this, let's call it 2 hours kind of tutorial, will be for me to offer you a tool that you, each group, can draw on, can utilize in order to develop solutions in that particular setting, in that particular environment, the Malmö Sports Academy, and everything that you have heard from Kari some minutes ago. Now, we call that design thinking. What is design thinking? This is the content, some principles, some concepts, clarification, the mindsets of a design thinker, and then the process, the methods, and the tools that you will be utilizing for you to develop this set of solutions, right? Now, two things for you to take into account. Zero thing is that you need to pay particular attention in the next couple of hours. If you don't do so, if you keep emailing and checking your Facebook accounts, then I'm afraid only a few members of each group will do the job, and tomorrow you will be struggling to present your solution. That was observation 0. Observation number 1, this is a prescriptive kind of approach. This is an approach that what we say is this is how you should be doing, this coming up with solutions kind of thing, right? Exactly what you have been asked to do, always drawing on the case study. Observation number 1. Observation number 2, you don't have to draw on design thinking to answer to deal with your task, right? But in my view, and only in my view, but I know that my colleagues there share my view. That's why we decided to devote a good, kind of 2-hour session, right? Asking for your full attention to this thing is that if you do so, if you apply this tool, right, what you will develop and present tomorrow will be much more meaningful. So you decide. You can easily fall asleep now and decide as a group that you're not going to apply design thinking and you do your own thing, right? Or you can stay tuned, you can utilize the tools I'm going to share with you, and tomorrow you feel much more confident in whatever you present in front of the rest. All right. So these are some initial observations. So I just wanted to be a little bit more democratic. It's up to you. Right. Now, problems everywhere. Right. Probably the case study itself implies, suggests a lot of problems, but problems a lot of the times are poorly defined, right? They lack information to define a solution. I'm not sure that Kari has offered a lot of information, you know, for you to come up with a solution that easily, and that was deliberately done, right? No criticism to Kari's approach. She did exactly what she was supposed to do, right? Problems that have strong impact on human needs, right? This is what you need to keep in mind as well. And problems that have changing context, changing situation. And I believe the case study itself is something that demonstrates just that. Now, this is the so-called design paradox. And if you look at these pictures and how the customer explained it, the customer could be me, or could be Kari's description of the case study itself, and how the project leader understood it. That could be the leader of your group, right? Or the group itself as a whole, how the analyst, you know, one member of the group designed it, how the programmer wrote it, blah, blah, and you end up with completely different things, because the case study is there, is 1 page long or so, right? We want you to follow, ideally, the tools that I'm going to offer you in order to avoid all these different interpretations tomorrow and present something that does not really address the problem or problems, or more importantly, the needs of stakeholders that are associated with this particular organization. All right, now, what is design thinking? It is a process. It is a process for creative problem solving. So I want you to be looking at problems. You can, I'm a very positive person. I don't like to be looking at problems. I always like to be looking at opportunities and trying to make things that work to work even better, right? But for the purposes of this exercise and having the case study in mind, I think that hence the utility of design thinking as an approach, right? I want you to be thinking of problem solving scenarios here, right? So design thinking is a process for creative, however, problem solving. Now, takes a human-centered approach for problem solving. Be careful, takes a human-centered. It helps you to get a deep understanding of the customer's unmet needs, unmet wants. It encourages you all towards creative consideration of wide array of innovative solutions. So Kari was mentioning about, this value, that you have to create shared value and all these things, very, very important elements that should be part of your answer solution to be communicated tomorrow. And it is very much a mindset as a process. For in the next 2 hours or so, what I'm asking you to do, I know that my students from Norway have gone through this kind of attempt from my end for a mindset changing, if you like, and employment of design thinking approach. And I have to be fair and also give you a tip. We spend a whole week on design thinking. Now I'm given, a couple of hours, to take you through that. So do the maths and think what is the best strategy now. Now, 3 lenses of human-centered design: desirability, feasibility, viability. First, what do people desire? I tell you now in a bold fashion, we don't care what you desire. I want you to come up with solutions that concerns what people desire. And who are these people? These people are human beings, group of people from different stakeholder groups, from these three, if you like, larger stakeholder groups that put together this academy, this organization that the case study is talking about. Feasibility, what is technically but also organizationally feasible. And finally, what can be financially viable. This refers to the lens of viability. Now, design thinking starts therefore with people. What these people need and want and desire, and then it goes to the business viability, to technology feasibility. It talks about functional innovation, process innovation, emotional innovation. Don't worry about this. What I want you to keep is that it starts with people, right? How does design thinking differ from traditional thinking? The mindset of a traditional thinker is this one. We have this problem. Let's jump in it and get in a room and brainstorm solutions. We have this solution, this technology. What can we use it for? Our competitors just launched X program project. How can we do a Y or X quickly, right? This is how traditional thinking unfolds. But guess what? Today and tomorrow, you won't be thinking traditionally. You will be thinking differently. And this traditional thinking versus the design thinking can be perhaps differentiated by looking at this little table. So the traditional thinkers, that is, before today, you were thinking about some flawless planning, whereas from my presentation and afterwards, all you will be making is mistakes, trial and error in order to get there, right? And you don't worry about trying to avoid failure, but what you want is to fail very fast because the clock is ticking and tomorrow you present your solution, right? You don't need rigorous analysis, you need rigorous testing. You don't want presentations after presentations, but you want lightweight experiments. Don't be afraid of the word experiments. I show you what I mean, but still experiments, right? Arm's length customer research, forget it. You talk to them. I finished the presentation. You don't eat. You had your break. You had the lunch. You go run and you talk to those people you want to come up with a solution on their needs. I don't know. You go, I don't know, the Swedish members of each group, call their friends, their athletes that they know in that academy and find out something. I don't know how you do that. You decide, but you talk to them. You get a deep customer immersion kind of thing, right? It's not periodic, it's continuous. Now, I have to be fair. You don't have time to do that. Usually you need weeks, perhaps months to develop a proper solution that satisfies needs and wants, right, in a particular setting. All right, but we can utilize this as a nice little scenario and say that you have some hours in front of you, right? So forget about partying tonight. There is no time for partying. Today and tomorrow morning is about continuous design thinking. And talking about thinking actually is not about thinking, it's about doing. So now you think as I speak, but once I stop talking to you, you start doing. You don't know what I'm talking about now, but very, very soon you will see that doing is the case when we talk about design thinking. And guess what? You will be using, both parts of your brain. How beautiful that is, right? So you will be using the left part and the right part of it. I mean, at the same time. I don't know how many of you, in fact, how many of us are doing that. But the left brain, part of the brain is more the analytical, more the rational, more the objective. You want facts, you want numbers, you want patterns, you want orders, you want plans. No, Christos, according to the program, we're supposed to have a dinner as a group, and this is what we decided and we have to follow. Forget it. It is the left brain that you're talking to you now. Whereas the right brain, it says no, let's be creative. Let's be more kind of, how do we feel? Do we feel that we can manage? We have only a limited amount of time to do this task. Can be spontaneous, can be spatial, can be subjective. We don't need that many numbers. We don't need that hard data. Let's be more holistic and creative, all right? So I'm giving you a little bit of information about design thinking just to put you into the kind of spirit of the whole process. All right, so this is the first part of my tutorial, as I call it, right? Then we have a break, and then the second part of the tutorial we go to the real practical stuff. Now, so yesterday it was about experiences, patterns, stories, observations. Tomorrow is about imagination, is about possibilities, is about stories, is about uncertainty. And this, tomorrow and yesterday together, brings you to today, literally today, this afternoon, this evening, and a little bit of tomorrow morning, okay? Now, what makes design thinking a unique way of thinking? As I said, you use both sides of the brain to solve problems. You're switching at will between rational and intuitive approach. You iterating between analysis, but also creation and imagination. You deal with ill-defined problems. If I ask you now, what is the problem that this particular Malmö Sport Academy, is facing, with all these three major players, right, organizations involved, who can confidently say to me, this is the one, this is the problem? I believe that you cannot. These are ill-defined problems. You need to dig, you need to find out more, you need to ask people, you need to feel them, you need to listen to them, right? And then you need to target to improve their experience. Is it about athletes? Is it about administrators? Is it about, I don't know, public in general? Is it about the coaches in that academy? Is it about the professors? Because university also is involved. Is it about, who are they? Who are they who are struggling with something? And what is that something, right? So you don't know. You don't know. You will find out. Actually, you don't have time. Tomorrow, you will be presenting a solution on a problem that you will identify. Now, characteristics of design thinking. Anyone can use it. It's beautiful, that is, right? Anyone. You don't have to be experts. I'm using it. I'm not expert. I'm just reading off my slides at the moment, right? I'm not the bright person in the class. I'm just reading what you see, right? It can be applied to all processes, to all sectors, to all industries, of course, in sport as well. It involves methods that enable empathy with people. While one of the 5 stages is called empathizing. You will see what I'm talking about in a while. So empathy with people is of particular importance. It takes a balanced approach to defining the problem as actively as finding the solution. So what we are asking you to do is to offer a solution, but we haven't defined the problem for you. You will be defining the problem, but you won't be defining the problem today. You go away and we meet in Molde in March with and then you show up and you offer the solution in Molde in March. You will be defining the problem this afternoon, and at the same time, you will be trying to come up with a solution. So it ideates and explores those solutions. It is collaborative and involves iterative prototyping. We have put you in groups. We could have asked you to work individually, but the latter option would not support design thinking approach, right? So the model can be used to solve many different types of business problems. And I assume when you read, or unless you have done already, again and again, the case study, look around the case study, the websites, you talk with people, you will identify problems that require to be resolved. What design thinking is not. It is not something only for those creative people within the group, right? The so-called product designers, you know, those innovative people, those who score in the entrepreneurship scores, you know, quite high. No, forget it. It's for everybody. It is not a narrow equation to aesthetics and craft. No, it is not just a brainstorming session. It is not, well, forgive me about that, might be, it is not a one-day process where problems can be solved in 24 hours. Well, this is actually true because you have less than 24 hours. I mean, it is even worse, but generally, it is not a one-day process, right? Ideally, we should, I don't know, have given this class, we should have put you in groups, and then we say, all right, this is the scenario. All right, we see you in Molde in June, July, and come up with the problem and the solution. But nevertheless, it is what it is. It is not a process to replace analytical problem solving, and it is not a silver bullet for all types of problems, right? What are the benefits? Why we are asking you to draw on, ideally, but not necessarily, on design thinking? Because it complements other problem-solving techniques. You might want to use other problem-solving techniques as well, or, you know, just other problem-solving techniques, full stop. It helps you, organizations, that organization that you have to, you know, draw on to become more innovative, to solve human problems, to increase customer satisfaction, and to gain competitive advantage, right? So Kari's part is one of these, you know, stakeholders, the three main stakeholders involved in that organization. If she goes back with, you know, some good solutions, right, to the next board meeting of that organization, and say, by the way, we had this exercise through our North Plus project, and, you know, some excellent ideas have been X, Y, Z. I mean, you know, I'm just throwing on this board meeting so we can utilize whatever. So these are the benefits of design thinking. Now, no time for break. Sorry. But what you can do, Ayla, is to unmute, and might take a couple of questions only from whoever wants to ask me something before I go ahead.
We are unmuted.
So anyone would like to ask something before I go ahead? That, I mean, no, it's a wrong question. I mean, I wanted to ask, do you follow me? But, you know, all of you say yes, even if you don't. But I don't know, any observation, any comment? Are you ready for that? Are you ready to use both parts of your brain for the next 18 hours? Okay. Now let me continue.
Other choice. Use both brains.
Yeah. That that wasn't a good question either, but nevertheless, okay. I will continue. I will continue. Thank you for unmuting yourself, Ivana. Now, what is unique then about this process, about this what we call design thinking? I believe I implied some of them. I explicitly mentioned some others, but it is first of all human-centered. It is highly creative, even if it doesn't require you to be creative. I mean, this is oxymoron, but you will see what I mean later on, right? So highly creative, it is hands-on, and it is iterative. You need to be going back and forth. Within hours, right? Okay, but you need to be going back and forth, right? You go to your rooms, you fall asleep, I don't know, you dream of something, you wake up in, tomorrow morning and you go back to your group and get bingo, Eureka, this is what about this part, right? This is a kind of iterative process, Now, let's start with this one first, the so-called human-centered. You start from what people, users, customers, consumers need or want to do. This is generic, but this, in your case, is not that generic because you have a case study in front of you. So you need to put names and faces to those words: people, users, customers, consumers. You can treat these words here on this slide as you wish. What are their motivations? What are the problems they are trying to solve? These people, you as a group, right, will pay attention to. Who are those users? I mentioned before coaches, athletes, professional athletes, recreation athletes. I don't know, the professors from the university, from the municipality, from the very same academy, administrators, you name it, right? Could be anyone. You decide. You ask this question. And here is, as I said, empathy is key. It's not about you. Forget about you, right? You need the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's not about you. You need to leave yourselves out for a few hours. Do me this favor and know that we like talking about us. We like coming up with beautiful projects that will accommodate some of our wants and needs, but forget it. It's not about you today. It's about those people in that case, right? That they are dealing with a problem. And you will be serving as consultants to define the problem, because guess what? They don't even know what the problem is, and then offer the solution to them. So human-centered. Design thinking stimulates you to look at situations differently and come up with new solutions that go beyond and improve existing alternatives. So this is a difficult task. We will be talking about this in a couple of minutes about, or maybe less than a couple of minutes, about these divergent and convergent thinking methods. And this integrative thinking is key. You need the ability to look at all the different aspects of the problem. And guess what? I will be offering you the tools to do that, right? These are not simple bullet points in every single slide here. There are tools that will address each of those bullet points. Now, human-centered was the one. Hands-on was the second element. So once I stop talking to you through this presentation, you should stop discussing and you start working. Make ideas tangible. You will be prototyping. Prototyping is thinking with your hands. You make prototypes cheaply and quickly. Anyway, you have no option. right? It has to be quick. Test your hypothesis. Test, that is, your ideas. Now, you must fail, right? Because it is a necessary part of the process in order for you to succeed. Experiments with trial and error is of paramount importance. If you don't fail, that means you don't employ design thinking. Don't fail for the sake of failing. If you are that good, that strong as a group, and you come up with, you know, the best problem, not my words, the best problem and the best solution of this problem, then well done to you. Apparently, you will be winning tomorrow, or you will be the most successful group. I don't know what the prizes will be, etc., but there will be something for you, some of you anyway. Now, but the thing is that it is hands-on. Do you see this picture? This is I mean, you can draw that. You can draw in 20 minutes. I'm not expecting you to utilize your own mobile smartphone. What I'm expecting you, in fact, all of us there, you know, Irena, Kari, Ayla, everyone involved, right, is just to, I don't know, put a slide like this together tomorrow and say, this is our prototype. In fact, one of the group members go around the room and ask the professors who are sitting there to touch that, to feel it, to have a closer look. Okay, so this is the hands-on element. The road to success does not follow a straight line when you employ design thinking. The more you are able to look through understanding, creating, and learning cycle, the higher the chances you have for good results. That's why I said to you, failure is necessary. If you know, very, very important. Now, areas where design thinking can be applied. You pick one. I'm not going to tell you. As an example, product design, service and experience design. I think that reads quite, I don't know, relevant to our case, right? Business design. I don't know. I'm not into the business design of, you know, Malmö Sport Academy thing, or leadership. I don't know, organizational change. You could be any type of organizational change. You know, these are the areas, you know, by way of examples. And here where we starting getting into the real heart of the design thinking, and it is the so-called framework. And as you can see, the framework that we will be asking you to draw on, ideally, as I said at the beginning, is the one that consists, you know, this one in front of you, which consists of 5 stages, 5 phases. The empathize, the define, ideate, prototype, and test. I pause here and I tell you that Ayla has already, if I'm not mistaken, Ayla, please confirm, or I can clearly see Irena in front of me. Thumbs up, Irena, if that's the case. All of you have been given these slides. So you will need these slides once I finish my presentation, just to refresh your memory about these 5 different stages and the templates that, you know, I will be referring to in a while. Okay, so empathize, learn about the audience for whom you are designing by observing them, by talking to them. Who is your user? What matters to this person? You need to do the empathizing phase stage first. Then you define. As you will see in a while, you create a point of view that is based on users' needs and insights, not yours, you know, the users. What are their needs? And then you go through the ideation process. It is where you brainstorm and you're coming up with as many creative solutions as possible. Wild ideas. are highly recommended and encouraged, right? Then hands-on prototyping. You build a representation of one or more of your ideas. I think one will be the case in your case, because you don't have enough time, right? To show to others, right? How can you show your idea? And you have to remember that a prototype is just a rough draft, right? It's not something that you can put it in a showroom and say, all right, you have to pay 20 euros for that. You know, I spent 1 hour putting this together. No, forget it. It's just a rough draft. And then you have to test it. Then you have to share your prototype idea with your original user. Who is the original user? You know, the people, to go back to stage one, the empathizing. So what worked? What didn't? And then this is the iteration process, right? And then you go back to your prototype and you improve things based on the feedback that you are given by the users that you have in mind. Now, you need to understand the framework, and I help you as much as I can, right, today, this afternoon, to do that, right? So design means to mark out and take action. Thinking means to ponder and consider, right? So design thinking is the proper attitude and frame of mind, as we said at the beginning, along with the right series of actions. If you don't act, forget it. It's not going to happen. If you tonight you look at the roof, the ceiling of your room, and try to come up with ideas, it's not going to work. You need to act. You need to get your hands dirty, right? So it is an action plan and mindset at the same time. It's like something like that, right? You can argue, yeah, we don't need both wheels to bicycle. We can bicycle in one way, all right? But I see you get my analogy here, right? Now, design action plan is a series of action phases that execute the design thinking process. But the mindset I'm talking about is more thinking traits or behaviors, right, within your groups, that complement the action plan, right? And they work in parallel. So I know I'm asking you to change the way you think within a group consisting of members. You have no idea who these people are. So, well, and to draw on a case study that you just heard about, right? Well, you got a very difficult task in front of you, right? But you will be fine. But I sympathize with you, right? It's not an easy thing. Now, what are the desired traits of a design thinker? You need to be able to step into the shoes of your customers, of your users, of whoever you pay attention to. You need to be in a position to empathize and like to challenge the status quo, even rebelliously. You need to be able to ask the right questions, even to your professor there. Draw and sketch instead of typing an email, right? Like to collaborate, able to look the big picture, generate a lot of ideas, reiterate, willing to fail early enough. Okay. So these are the mindsets. These are some key characteristics. So far, I haven't, apart from the framework, but only the framework, the 5 stages, has elements, right, of actions. But still, this is very conceptual. This is very, Christos, you promised that we're gonna have the tools, for us to make things happen. And where are the tools? You keep talking, and you're not helping us. You're right? We're getting there, I promise. Now, we said that. Think users first, ask the right questions, believe you can draw. I mean, getting the pen and a paper and draw. Or if you use a tablet with that little pen, right, you draw on your tablet. Believe you can do that. In fact, you can. I promise you can. I can. I did try and it worked. I can even type or write my last name, you know, in a comprehensible fashion, right? And I can draw, right? I can show you something, and I said, this is the product. This is what I want to, you know, to offer. You say, oh, this is a kind of bicycle. Yes, you see, you can see that, right? I'm not that bad. Each one of you can draw. So you need to commit yourself towards exploration, and you need to test through prototypes. Now, mindset number 1, think users first. As design thinkers in every project, you need to do that. Customer first in all design decisions. Every time you feel that you're thinking of somebody else outside that category that you're targeting on, you need to stop yourself by doing or focusing on that, or stop anyone else in that group, because think users first is mindset number 1. You can read some of those bullet points. It's okay about the trace to follow and the trace to avoid. But the main point here is that you need to think the user first. If you ask me, Christos, who is the user in my case? Well, you will have to define that. There's a case study, and there are a lot of players there and a lot of users there. Your call to define them. Mindset number 2, ask the right questions, right? You need to help the stakeholders, the teammates, understand and define the project objectives very, very, very well. If you don't ask the right questions, you end up with solutions or even problems that have nothing to do with the users themselves. All right? So believe you can draw, as I said. I mean, I cannot stretch enough how easy for you will be to draw, right? You should avoid of, you know, just pick up a pen and draw, right? Don't be afraid if people are laughing while you try to, you know, to draw that little car that takes the athletes from point A to point B to train themselves, right? You can draw a car, I'm telling you. I mean, all you need is just semi-square thing and 4 wheels, four rounded things, right? And say, this is a car, all right? So you can do that, trust me, right? You wouldn't have picked for this exercise if you can't do that. I mean, I have a 5-year-old son, and I'm not asking him to do that. I'm asking my 2.5 years son to do that. So trust me, you can, right? So commit to explore, right? So you need to explore all these possibilities, you know. You need to explore everything that is available in front of you. And how you do that, there are tools that will be given to you, right? But without it, there is, as I will be mentioning this convergent, divergent thing in a while, but you know, you need to commit to explore. If you go even within the limited amount of time that you have today and tomorrow, right, to go to shortcut, forget it. You have to be busy, keep yourselves busy for the next hours. That's it. And exploring different problems and different ideas. And you need to test. And because if you don't test, you don't know whether the solution or the element or part of the solution that you are offering tomorrow during the group presentations actually is helpful to the users that you have identified. So you need to test. By test, we mean you ask them back. So is this now helpful? Well, it's good, but not really. Don't present it tomorrow if you get these answers. Don't. It's not ready, the solution. It's better to show up tomorrow and say, we define a problem, we offer a solution, we test it, it didn't work out, we didn't have time to develop something else. But this is the feedback that we got. You won't win, for sure, but that will be a honest approach based on design thinking process. A summary of the 5 thinking mindsets. These for you to follow, what you need to cultivate, what you need to follow, what you need to avoid. Spend some minutes for yourselves to have a look at these bullet points, just very generic stuff that you are masters. I think you're master students, all of you now. You need to be contextualizing, right, all these generic stuff into the case that you are dealing with. Now, my plan was to ask you to do that, but I want to ask Ayla, Irena, and Kari whether we could engage the groups to do this little activity engagement. And then, I think we might, if we ask them to work on these 2 little questions for about 7 to 10 minutes, we should be all right. What do you think? Should I continue talking? I will be moving after this activity engagement into the actual tools, but if I were there, I would be asking, the groups to engage themselves with this little activity. What do you think?
Depends on how long are you going to talk after it. So you have now like 1 hour left.
I think we can, if we make a start just before 10, what time is there? It's 5, it's almost 5 o'clock over there, or 3 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
Sorry, 4 o'clock. If we make a start at 10 past 4 at the latest, I think I have enough time to cover for the remaining of my presentation, part 2.
Okay, so then we can ask students to create groups of 3 now and discuss these points.
Do you have already put these students into groups for the case or not yet?
They have groups of 6.
They can work in their groups then. No need to be 3 to 4.
Okay, go to your own groups now then.
I'm staying here, I'm muting myself, and I'm just waiting for their answers.
Yeah, we get back in 10 minutes.
Perfect, thank you.
Go ahead.
Now, reminder, 5 action phases: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. You need to learn first about the audience for whom you are designing. Then you need to create your POV, the point of view. You will see what I mean, based on your insights from the empathy stage. Then you need to brainstorm and you need to come up with creative solutions. Then you need to get your hands dirty, and then you need to return to your original user groups and test your ideas for feedback. These are the 5 action phases. Now, you need to go to number 3. It contains phases of both divergent and convergent thinking. Keep this in mind. It requires everyone to collaborate and to go through the process together. And very, very importantly, if you look at these 5 phases, there are deliverables at every phase. In each of those 5 phases, you will be producing something. There will be deliverables. Now, we covered that. What is the divergent and the convergent thinking? So when you generate ideas, not ideas for the solution, but also ideas for the problems, because I asked you before, do you know the problem? I wasn't expecting an answer, but what I'm trying to say is that you are asked to generate the problem of that case as well. So you go wide. This is the divergent part of the thinking. Then at some point, you will define that point. It might come naturally through your discussions within your groups. You will realize that you employ a more convergent thinking. And it is where you start synthesizing everything that has been generated through the divergent thinking. Is it because you discern some very clear problems and some very interesting set of solutions? Is it because you run out of time and you need to employ this convergent thinking? Doesn't matter. Ideally the first, but even if the latter is the case, you need to synthesize and you need to go through the convergent thing. Now, so you have the problem space where you go wide and then you converge. And then you have the solution space where you go wide, diverge, and then you need to converge. So for both spaces, right, you need to go wide and you need to narrow. You need to go wide and you need to narrow for the solution. Because I repeat, you don't have the problem yet. And you realize what I mean in the next few slides. You don't have the problem. Now, if you put these divergent and convergent approaches into all 5 phases, you see in this slide that you have the problem space and you have the solution space. And the empathizing, and it is more about divergence. The defining the problem is all about convergence. Then you enter the solution space where it is the ideation. And this phase requires divergent thinking. And then obviously the prototyping and the testing, you need to go narrow. You need to converge, right, within the solution space. Otherwise, you end up with, I don't know, 100 prototypes. You cannot prototyping 100 things, right, and offer solutions to a problem or a set of problems, ideally a problem, in your case, within this case study, that has been defined in the problem space through the convergent approach. All right, I hope that is clear. What I'm trying to do here by showing you this slide is that I'm referring to the divergent convergent approaches vis-a-vis in relation to the 5 stages. And as you can see, not all 5 stages require either divergent or require both divergent and convergent. All right? Now, the empathize here and ideate phases require divergent thinking, where again is to create and explore ideas and possibilities without any restraints. So within the phase, you are encouraged to make guesses, to come out with wild ideas and be as creative as you want to be. The define, prototype, and test phases require convergent thinking, right? That means that you actively select and decide the right solutions to the problem that you have then, identified based on constraints or feedback. Within those set of phases, you are encouraged to analyze and to make decisions and constantly ask critical questions, of course, right? To solve the problems at hand. So both sides of thinking are necessary for the process to work. Let me now go through each one of those phases and offer a tool for each phase. These are the deliverables for each phase. And this is where the practical stuff comes to light. So far, I was trying to put the conceptual framework in order to get to that point. So what we remember so far is that design thinking is a process, human-centered, trial and error, divergence, convergence, and mainly a process that consists of 5 phases. Let's now go to the tools for each phase. What is to empathize? What is the objective? To understand the experience. Now, very, very importantly for all of you guys and girls there, right? I hope that you have at least in your head the case study that Karen took you through earlier on, before my class, before my tutorial. At least you remember a little bit the setting, the context. Or ideally, you have read the case study, right? So everything that I will be talking about now, I want you to make effort to bring the setting, that case, that 3-part collaboration thing, right? The Molme Academy, Sport Academy, in mind, and try to think about users, think about solutions, think about problems, whatever, in relation to that case. That will help you a lot, because these are the things that I will take you through now are very generic. So it helps if you have a picture in mind. And the case study is the picture that you need. Phase number 1, empathize. Observe. I don't know how you do that. And to be honest with you, I don't care. Find a way. View users and their behavior in the context of their lives. You do not judge them. It is not the moment to judge. Oh, the coaches in that academy are doing a fine job. Oh, look at these professional athletes, they occupy all the time this fitness suite, and the public doesn't have enough time to go there and do exercises. You don't judge, you just observe. You engage. How do we do that, Christos? We are in Finland. I'm in Brussels. What can I say? Find a way. You bright people, all of you in that room. Engage, interact with people in conversations and interviews. Ask why. Christos, what why we should ask them, and who are them? I don't know. You have a case study in front of you. Immerse. Experience what your user experiences. Christos, I remind you, we are in Finland, we're not in Malmö. Okay, but you have some people who study in Malmö, and some of them, if not all of them, have experienced that place, right? You got the answer. Don't judge, observe, engage, immerse. Watch your user in action and take note of non-verbal cues and body language. I know you are in Finland. Meet. Arrange to meet you with your user to find out more about his life, about her life, about her workplace, or even her home. You will develop empathy into the context or situation this person is in. You might meet that person because you are in Finland. You need to ask questions, non-leading questions, not open-ended questions. Neither of those. Just broad questions, because all you need is to understand who they are, what they do in that context. You need to listen. You need to allow them to tell you their story. This is an example from phase 1. So you have Alice Smith, who is 53 years old, housewife, existing customer of that particular bank, other banking relationship with another bank, and has 2 children. He likes to trade during free time, dislikes internet banking, so I'm not sure how she likes to trade, but nevertheless. So questions to ask. Have you been aware of this credit card? What do you think of its benefits? Or how is compared to other credit cards? Why do we ask these questions? Because you need to understand awareness level. You need to understand the benefits. If their benefits are relevant to the customer, you need to understand how it is compared among other competitors. And then you have some space in order to put the feedback from your observation. So your comments are, generally, Alice Smith, 53, is generally unable to recall where she has seen the card, or thrown and talk about the painful application process of the card, emphasizes the benefit of groceries, rebate, etc. So what would be the actions? What are the insights from these observations that you make with regards to Alice Smith and her profile in relation to banking and credit cards, etc.? So advertising visibility could be improved. So Alice Smith is more aware of that credit card, etc., etc. Application process may be painful for a customer because she said that this and that, or could strengthen and highlight groceries rebates in marketing for. So this is an example which has nothing to do deliberately with your case study. But this is an example that gives you an idea of how you do phase 1, which is empathizing. The challenge that you have is that within your groups, you may need to go to phase 0, right? And perhaps have more than one user. Could be a coach, could be, as I said before, administrator. You need to or you might say, no, you know what? We are focusing on coaches. We are focusing on administrators. We are focusing on the municipality employees. We are focusing on whoever, right? And then you go away, and as Ayla said, you have plenty of time now, almost 2 days, to get this empathizing. And this is the template. This is the deliverable that you can use. So customer profile, who are they? This is the example. Just bullet points there. Questions to ask. list of questions together as a group. Why do you ask those questions? And then you talk to this person. And then you get, some answers, and you put some feedback down and some possible actions. This is the deliverable number 1 that is associated with phase number 1. Phase number 2, define. Remember, I said to you, we are not only asking you to come up with a solution, we are asking you to define the problem. Because your case study does not explicitly define the problem. It is your job to define the problem. How do you do that? You need to create what we call point of view. You have the user develop an understanding of the type of person, the persona, as we call it, right? You are designing for. And then you have the needs. Synthesize and select a limited set of needs that you think are important to fulfill. Remember that the needs should be verbs. I show you. And then you have the insights. So you have three elements for the point of view. The insights refer to, the definition of the principles in a way. So you have the user, you have the needs, and you have the insights. And it looks something like that. I'm talking about a sentence here. 1. So you have the user, you decide who needs to what. You need to tell from the phase number 1, the empathize phase. Because this person, blah, blah, blah. This is the definition. An example of point of view, the POV. POV equals user plus need plus insight. For example, I'm a college student user, and I hate folding laundry, need, because I cannot seem to fold it the right way. This is the insight. This POV sentence, you got it from phase number 1. So you need to develop a very strong POV, right? But in order to develop a very strong POV, I have to admit it is a challenging exercise. It is a challenging exercise because that depends very much on how good the empathize phase has been done. Getting it right is very important, because if you get this right, the future of the project will unfold unproblematically. Now, your POV should never contain any specific solution. Show me the solution here. There's no solution. There's only a need, there's an insight, and there is somebody who has this need, right? Nothing else. There's no solution. Should never contain any indication as to how to fulfill your user's needs in the service or experience. No indication. Do you see any indication here? There's no indication here of how you help this student college to learn how to fold properly the laundry. There's no indication here. This is the point of view only. And finally, should never contain the product you are designing, simply because you are not in that phase yet. You are defining the problem, which, guess what? Again, you don't know. You have to discuss about that with your group, inside your group, in relation to the case study that Kari shared with you 2 hours ago. So instead, your POV, therefore, should provide a wide enough scope for each one of you within each group to start thinking about solutions which go beyond the status quo. This is the status quo. Solutions are not there. But, not but. Yes, but the point of view alone doesn't take you to the point where definition is crystal clear. There is something else that you need to develop. The how might we question, the HMW. HMW questions are short questions that launch brainstorms. These questions fall out of your own POV, this one, or design principles as seeds for your ideation. You will see. Create a seed that is broad enough that there are a wide range of solutions, but narrow enough that the team has some helpful boundaries. So the proper scope, as we say here, of the seed will vary with the project and how much progress you have made in your project work. Let me clarify this, how might we think element of the defined phase. So this example here, HMW create a cone to eat ice cream without dripping. This is very narrow. Or this is very broad. HMW redesign dessert. Well, what dessert? Too broad. Properly scoped, the how might we question could be HMW redesign ice cream to be more portable. This is a little bit more, this is a little bit wider, but not too wide and not too broad either. Example. This is an illustrative example of this particular phase of define, number 2. So this is what we call design brief. So you have the user perception feedback. So Daryl, for instance, needs a fast and efficient way to track his health and fitness. He runs, swims often, and does not like to carry a phone while running, swimming. So what is this very first from the design brief comes from the empathize phase, right? It is the feedback that you had in the previous deliverable in a more, if you like, shorter version. So what is the problem state? What is the point of view? User could not track his health and fitness while running or swimming. This is the statement. There is no solution there. This is the POV. There is a user, in our case, Daryl, right? There is a need and there is an insight, not a solution. So what is the how might we? What is the question that you can ask? How might we design a convenient and hands-free health and fitness tracking device for running or swimming. And then you probably offer some requirements from some discussions. Track health and fitness while doing activity, lightweight, to carry, impactful, proof, convenient to use, hands-free, etc., etc. Some little observations, if you like, there, additional. But the important things of this template are a quick summary, a couple of bullet points from phase number 1 at the top, just to remind you who they are, what is happening with them, from the empathizing that you have done, and then the POV, which is a statement that doesn't offer a solution, and then a how might we, you, that is, your group, develop something to help them to the problem that they have. Because the point of view is a problem. And this is a template deliverable number 2 that you can utilize for phase number 2. User perception feedback, your point of view, how might we, and some requirements, whatever you can think of. Phase number 3. You haven't even thought about any solutions yet. Nothing so far. The objective of this phase is to focus on idea generation. Here you translate problems into solutions. You go wide. Like this. Creativity, group synergy, divergent and convergent thinking at the same time. Right? Now, what are the rules? You cannot judge, defer judgment. Let each member of the group tell his, her idea, opinion, even if it is considered the weirdest of contribution inside that meeting. So you encourage actually wild ideas. Go wild, go mad. So who cares? It's fine. It's only you 5, 6 there in that little room, in that little corner. Who cares? You're not going to go out with this product. You won't be presenting on Friday this product. So you can say whatever you like. You also, as a rule, should be building on ideas from others. Christos, you just mentioned something really, really crazy. I shall say stupid even, but you gave me the pass to think about something which is not far from your stupid idea that you just mentioned. What about this? Oh, yes, right. You agree. My idea was stupid, but it generated your idea, which is not that perfect, is not stupid at least, is mediocre. And somebody else, the third person in that group, say, wow, hang on a minute, from the second idea, and that's how you go. But you need to stay focused on the topic, right? Don't forget, stage 3, you have the user in mind, you have the POV in mind, and you have a question in mind. You need to be visual. Write down, draw, excuse me, draw. You need to make sure that you allow people to talk, one conversation at a time, right? And very, very important. Go for quantity. You know, if you go wild, obviously there will be silly ideas on the table, but you can always disregard them at the end. You don't try to come up with a perfect solution at this stage. You need a lot of ideas in front of you. a lot, 50, 40, all right? Don't quote me on the numbers. I'm just trying to, I don't know, maybe 40 is not enough. Maybe you need 100, don't know. Now, there are a lot of methods, techniques that you can employ to generate ideas, right? Inside the divergent phase, where you create a lot of choices, right? There is the so-called initial exploration and the pushing boundaries thing, right? And there are different techniques within each of those mini phases. So I will be giving you a tool to use for the initial exploration, which is called brain writing. And I will give you another tool that falls under the pushing boundaries, that is called scamper. This is when you go wide, right? And then when you create those choices and you move to the next part of the ideation, where you need to converge and to make some choices, there are again different techniques. I will give you one, right? Number 3 here, the idea evaluation. These are the tools, the techniques I'm going to give you for this particular phase. Let's see brain writing. It's a powerful technique, right? Because it builds of ideas in a systematic manner. It is, as I say here, divergent method. You go wide, right? So what is the procedure? You are 5, 6 in each group. Number 1, you define the problem. You have the problem. POV is the problem. Each person should brainstorm 3 ideas in 2 minutes on a piece of paper. Imagine each group is sitting in that corner, and each one of you in 2 minutes writes 3 ideas against that problem, the POV that you have developed. And she writes it down. Then you pass the sheet of paper to the person on the left. Have that next person to build upon or to add to the existing ideas by writing or by drawing their own ideas underneath the existing ideas. Give 3 minutes for that exercise. Repeat the process around the table with the next person building on existing ideas or add new ideas until the paper comes back to the originator. Share all the ideas on the table and pick out a couple of outstanding ones. This is brain writing. You start with one person, 2 minutes, 3 ideas against the problem that you have defined, POV, and then you go around and see what you have next. All right? Brain writing. Pushing the boundaries. Divergent method. What is it? What is it? It is based, you need to take this brainstorming, brain writing idea and somehow, as it says, push the boundaries. I mean, okay, what do we have here? We ended up here, number 6, right? On a couple of outstanding ideas, but it's not going to be enough. We must push the boundaries, right? You need 7 elements, 7 words: substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse. So what is the procedure here? You select an idea from the previous, right? The brain writing, concept, existing, product, to apply this scamper technique. You need to have a kind of facilitator within your group, right? That will lead the team to ideate out of the box, by asking questions based on that scamper technique. Create as many ideas based on the questions, analyze, then prioritize, and select a couple of the ideas to further develop and prototype. This is the procedure, but probably you don't get how you can do that. So these are the questions, right? So these are the 7 elements of the scamper. First, substitute. So in your brain writing, you have developed a couple of ideas that the outstanding, from going around the table, you say, okay, let's focus on these 4 ideas that address the problem through the POV, all right? So you ask, what materials or elements or microprocesses could you substitute or swap to improve that product, that service? What other product or services or processes could you use? Based on these 2 outstanding ideas of the brain writing, I repeat. Then combine. What would happen if we combine this product with another, or this service with another service to create something new? How to combine purposes or objectives? Adapt. Number 3, what other context could you put your service into? If the academy is using that service, can we use it elsewhere too, or whatever? Go wild, it's okay. What other products or ideas could you use for inspiration? Then modify. How could we as a group change the shape, look, or feel of this service, of this product? What could we emphasize? What could we highlight to create more value? 5, put to another use. Can you use this product, this service somewhere else, outside the academy, outside that unit, outside coaching, outside professional athletes, outside whoever, administration, perhaps in another industry? Who else could use this product? The government? The municipality alone? A professional football team? Basketball team? 6, eliminate. How could you streamline or simplify this product? It sounds, reads, looks very complex, very complicated. How can we kill some parts? What would happen if you took away part of this product and perhaps don't consider it? So the number 6 here is about just taking out parts of that microprocess or that product that you suggest, and then reverse finally. How could you reorganize this product? What if you try to do the exact opposite of what you're trying to do now? If you do this scamper, if you do the brain writing, and then you employ this scamper technique and these 7 type of questions, right? Then you end up with a much better set of solutions to your POV. But you need to be doing this, right? You need to be discussing. You need to be asking these questions. The facilitator needs to take this slide in front of him, and say, okay, now, Christos, tell me, substitute, what else? Sorry, I cannot think of, okay, next, what else? What materials or elements? Writing them down, take notes, improve the solution that you have. That is the second technique for this divergent part. The initial exploration and then pushing the boundaries, because through scamper, you push the boundaries. I believe it becomes evident now. You push the boundaries to make it, come on. But this is the divergent method. Then you need to go to make choices. And you end up with 2, 3 really, after the brainwriting and after the scamper, 2, 3 really good, you believe, solutions to the POV, right? And you need to evaluate those 2, 3 solutions, right? So the idea evaluation is a table of criteria to compare and understand the difference among your ideas based on that criteria. So you can do that if you want to evaluate and select the ideas together with the stakeholders. I don't know if, I believe we don't have a sport organization with us today, I believe. Correct me later if I'm mistaken, but nevertheless, you can even do this evaluation with representatives from the organization. But the procedure is that you map all your ideas on the idea evaluation table. I'll show you one, right? You write down the key points of each idea, right? Based on each criteria. You see the criteria. And then you evaluate and decide which ideas to go ahead by killing some others, right, that do not fulfill this important criteria. So this is an example. So let's say that you have developed after the brainwriting and the scamper exercises 4 ideas, right? And you have this evaluation criteria. I mean, you can change the evaluation criteria. You can make them more contextual to the case study itself, right? But these are generally okay. I mean, you can use all of them. You can use some of them. You can include what Kari is calling for shared value or whatever, right? Other things as well. But at least you have an idea. Customer impact. But then you need to have the user in mind, right? Who is the user? You've done this exercise. You've done phase 1. So you have customer impact, business impact, potential improvement, the feasibility, and the innovativeness. And you give a score. I mean, this example here has words and plus and minuses, right? So the idea A has 2 pluses when it comes to customer impact, whereas the idea B is not good on customer impact. The idea C is okay. The same for idea D for another reason. It seems that customer impact-wise, the criterion idea A is better. And then you do these for all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 criteria and whatever else you go for. You might employ a score system from 0 to 5, for instance, and you give 0 to 5 to idea A on customer impact, on potential improvement, blah, blah, blah. This is template for phase number 3 that you can use. In order to get to those ideas, now, Christos, Kari, Irena, you ask us, right? Ayla, do we have to come up with 4 ideas, with 5 ideas, with 3 ideas? Guys, I don't know. It's up to you. You might end up with 6 ideas. Some of you, some other groups might come up with 3 ideas. Doesn't matter, right? You're free to go. But if you focus on one idea, you don't have to do the evaluation. Evaluation against what? Against its own idea. So you give a score, idea A on customer impact 4. Okay, so what does it tell you? Nothing. But if you have 4 on idea A and against 2 on idea B, you say, right, okay, we should go for idea A, because all of us believe that the customer impact is much higher for the first idea. So how many of those you develop is up to you. But in my view, you need more than 2. But given the time that you have available, perhaps no more than 5. So if you go for 4, I believe if you do the brainwriting and the scamper, you might well end up with 3, 4, 5 easily. You are 6 people per group. You can do that. So this is deliverable number 3. phase 4, prototype. I need to run. The objective now, to build to think, you need a simple, a cheap, and a fast way to shape ideas so you can experience and you interact with them. Now, a prototype can be any physical form, any physical. A post-it note, a space, an object, a storyboard, you name it. A storyboard is something like that, or something like that. No, these are not storyboards. Storyboards are these ones where you take, this bottom right picture or drawing. You see the drawing? You don't envy that. You don't call that Picasso, right? But she's doing a fine job. Yeah, I mean, you can develop this, what you see now. So you want, I don't know, a clock that stands in, for your desk. I don't know. Nothing to do with your case study, or maybe has something to do in your case study. You might need a clock where those who do exercising, they can count the repetitions or whatever. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. So you might need something like that. Don't know. Or examples of wireframes. So you want to develop a new website for this academy. Okay. So what about the interface? How do they look like? How do we navigate? And this is a storyboard example. So you want to develop, I don't know, this, to bake a cake or something. And you want to come up with a fantastic new kind of a little baking feature machine that can clean up and quickly everything and make a fantastic put all the ingredients there and make miracles. I don't know. Okay, what is the process? What do I need? You need to press this. Obviously you need the egg, and then you need to put the egg on the top, and then you need to, this is a storyboard. You can develop that. You don't have to be Picasso to do that. Just tell us, show us how the process unfolds. Or another storyboard example, right? When you wake up, you want to have your coffee ready. How do you do that? I mean, do you have somebody coming over to you, or giving you, or I don't know? Can you make a clock? You put the alarm and the clock at the same time makes you a coffee. I think we have resolved all these issues anyway with these coffee makers things. So as an example, this is a storyboard. This is a process. That could be, if you want to use a storyboard, that could be the deliverable for phase 4. So you insert a picture in scene number 1, you insert another picture in scene number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You stick it to your presentation on Friday and say, this is the prototype. Our prototype is a storyboard. Or you want to develop a product for the coaches, for the professional athletes, then you cut some paper, you pick some glue stick then, and I don't know, and you say, that's how just about will look like. Oh, all right. So what's the size? Oh, the size will be 10 centimeters wide and whatever length. And yeah, how much is 10 centimeters wide? I mean, 10 centimeters. Yeah, but on my hand, how big that is? Well, I don't know. Just imagine. No, I don't want to imagine. I want you to tell me. Oh, we made a prototype. Touch it. Oh, okay. That's on the size of a smartphone. Yeah. Oh, all right. That's good. I like that. That resolves my problem. You see, we are here for you. kind of thing. So prototypes could be anything, right? Also storyboard. So this is a template for phase 2, but it could be something like that, or it could be something like that, physical, that you develop. The thing is that you need to develop, even if it is a process within that academy, on governance, on social responsibility, on I don't know, coaching exercises, on whatever you focus on. Finally, phase 5, testing. To ask for feedback on your prototypes. If you don't have a prototype, you cannot ask for feedback, because you need to learn about your user. You need to go back and reframe your POV and refine your prototype. So you need to show, you need to create experience, and you need to compare. You wanna show a new exercise? Go to Ayla, get some cones, get a basketball, remove the tables, put the cones, and show the exercise within that room on Friday. And ask Carrie to stand up, get the basketball, go through the cones, show her the exercise. Ask them, Carrie, how do you feel? Does this resolve the problem of not being able to dribble a basketball that you have identified through your POV, etc., etc.? So you can do a lot of prototyping things, right? And creating the experiences. And then you need to compare the different prototypes, because you will have 3, 4 different ideas. Why do you need to do that? So you need to validate and iterate quickly. If it fails, fails. You need to redesign things. You need to match expectations of end users. Oh, Christos, this doesn't really help me. Why you did that? Oh, I thought that was something that we were discussing, yesterday, about your problem in that academy to register yourself when you are a new member. Yeah, but this doesn't help me. So what do? You need to go back. So you need to evaluate this feedback, and you need to communicate the results to the end users. This is what I produce for you. Is that resolving the problem that you have within that organization? You are an administrator, you are a coach, whoever you are. Does it do the work? And this is an example of prototype evaluation. So you have, again, prototype A, B, C, D, and you have some evaluation criteria that is there. 2 minutes, Ayla. That is there on, yes, that refer to functionality, cost, aesthetics, usability, maintenance, and whatever else you might have in mind, right? This is an example. For example, all prototypes that you develop, functionality-wise, achieve product objectives, tick box. But the prototype number C, when it comes to cost, is very expensive for the users. Usability-wise, prototype A, all users think it is simple. So then you're making decisions. This is feedback given based on the testing that you perform. And you can use this template, which is deliverable number 5 from phase number 5, which is testing. Summary. 5 phases. You need to go through them. Each action phase has specific objective, activities, tools for you to use, techniques, and deliverables in order for you to proceed. Wishing you all the best. Hope you have some tools. Stop sharing my screen. I'm making myself available, Ayla, to whatever questions the class might have.
Right. I think they all seem a bit overwhelmed at the moment. So, any quick questions? They need to rush to their dinner and then to their prison island. So, any questions?
So where does it come from? Like the whole idea, who made it?
Where does this whole design thinking idea come from? Is somebody asking?
Oh, well, design thinking is the process / tool that is employed by in any incubation accelerator center, any entrepreneurs, any startup who developed these actual 5 stages, phases. I cannot answer. I don't know. I don't know the creator of these 5 phases. I think it has been a combination of literature together, trying to make it a practical tool for people like us, like you, in a room like this, who are asked to develop a solution and identify problems. Sorry if I don't have a name, but I don't.
Okay, thank you, Christos, for this. I think we're going to have to let students go so that they won't miss their bus. So we'll get back to you if you have any questions, during tomorrow. So we'll email you or something.
Please do so. I'm traveling. I'm flying tomorrow after 12 o'clock.